We take you now to news, Justin. People living in structures or houses next to the Jukskei River in Alexandra have been warned to leave their homes as the river is flooded. To give us more on this, we're joined now by Johannesburg Metropolice Department spokesperson Wayne Minnaar. Wayne, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us. As a department, what do you know, and certainly how bad is the damage?
Good evening. I can confirm that the Jukskei River is flooding and that it has washed away a wall of a brick and mortar house, and there's a threat of the rest of the house to be washed away, and the occupants of the house and people living in the backyard at that house have now been evacuated. They've been moved to live with neighbors living further up from the river. So there are a total of 11 people who have been moved away from close to the water edge. There is a concern, however, that the level of the water could rise, and it may rise later this evening or in the early hours of the morning. So we want to request that people living in houses or structures close to the water's edge to please go away from the water edge and go and stay with neighbors living higher up from the Jukskei River.
Now, Wayne, we know that Johannesburg emergency services are on high alert, particularly in low-lying areas, as we mentioned in our bulletin earlier. I'm wondering, in a case of an emergency evacuation, how quickly could we get emergency services to assist those living in those affected areas to get out as quickly as possible?
No, all the staff are there. What is making it very difficult to be able to get to everyone is that there's no roads or way of being able to access the structures as it currently is. So by way of media, we want to call on everyone who are living close to the water's edge to get out, move away from the water's edge and go and live with neighbors high up from the Jukskei River, because the river is flooded and there's a possibility that the water levels will rise.
You keep mentioning the fact that there's a possibility that water levels may rise. We know, as per the warning given to us by the South African Weather Service, that the rains are likely to continue well into the new year, in fact. So this is a very real reality. When we're talking about alternative accommodation, do we know if that's even something that's available? You've mentioned people moving upwards to go live with some relatives, but there may in fact be a reality where people don't have that option. Are there other alternative means of accommodation that may be available?
No, we will definitely look at alternative means, but the quickest and the best way to get people away from the water's edge right now, as we speak, is for them to move and go to neighbors higher up from the river for assistance.
Certainly. You mentioned that 11 people have been evacuated. Have there been any injuries sustained? I know that a wall collapsed in the flooding. Do we know of any injuries, or presently right now much of the evacuees are safe and sound?
Yes, no, those who are evacuated are safe and sound. There is no injuries that I can confirm or death, and that they are far away from the water edge. But we are concerned about the other people who are still living in structures close to the water's edge, and that the water level may rise.
Right. That is spokesperson of the Johannesburg Metropolice Department, Wayne Minnaar, giving us the latest there on that breaking news story. The Jukskei River in Alexandra flooded. The JMPD calling on all residents in that low-lying area that may be affected by the flooding to evacuate immediately, move onto higher ground and try find alternative accommodation with relatives nearby.